Well, welcome to Mobile Rolling, and of course, last week we had a fantastic session with the Holberton family, and we spoke about part one. We're going to do part two. Right after the break, we're going to talk about the man Ray Holberton and his story in the sport of harness racing straight after the break. Well, Ray, part two of the Holberton story. We spoke about Dad a fair bit, and we'll probably touch on it a bit more. But you yourself, I mean, as a young man, you were driving for Dad as a young person, like you said that you helped him out, harness up all the horses. You got involved with driving at what age?
17 I was.
Yeah.
Back in those days, the last year of Wavell, it was like permit drivers. I think last 2 years, permit drivers. And we drove against. Then I think I lasted about 12 months, then got an A class.
Yep.
I started to drive a few of Dad's, and they said you're only still a permit driver, and they're pretty strict in those days. You had to wear a collar and tie.
Yeah.
And just taught you the upbringing a lot better than what it was, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had a few drives there. I won two.
Yep.
And you drove against the best, the Dick Webster, the Lloydies, the Vols, Maxley sort of thing, and you walked in that driver's room, and you had Dick sitting in the corner in his special chair,
Yeah.
and you just say, "G'day, sir."
Yeah.
No, sir. You know, and if you did something wrong, they would speak to you.
Yeah.
And that's where, it was really good.
Yeah.
I wasn't the world's greatest driver, but I've won my share.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you make a very good point there, because with the changing times of the world, that respect for people that have proven themselves has disappeared from the younger ones nowadays. Like back in those days when you were a young man, you respected the man that had achieved everything, like your Dick Webster and all that, you know. And he would come and, like you say, he'd have a chat with you and say, listen, Ray, you're probably got to do it a little bit different. Wouldn't blow up at you or anything like that. The world's changed so much now that sort of disappeared, and that's probably one of the poor things of the world itself. But you've learnt that as a young man, that you know you got to respect those elders that have achieved the major things.
Yeah, even today I say sir to the stewards.
Yep.
That's why I was brought up in the house.
Yeah.
You swore at home, you'd be in trouble. It wasn't a pat on the bum either.
Yeah.
But no really good learning points bringing up, you know, growing up.
Yep.
Went there and then we come back. We drove at Globe Derby, and I had a bad fall about 10 years ago, and it was a nasty one over here.
Yeah.
I was about to go over the back of Jeffrey, and I pulled sideways, and I went down about 6 foot up and broke nearly every bone in my body. But I couldn't stay home. You had to work.
Yep.
And so we kept going.
Yeah.
But now I leave it, you know, to the other drivers to drive.
Yeah.
I've just put on a Tiana McMahon here. She's doing a good job. She's still learning. She's very smart, but there's other things they got to learn more.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's improving.
And you know, in the sport, doesn't matter how much you learn, you can always learn more. Like, you know, probably your dad, Albie, has forgotten more than I'd ever learn, you know what I mean? And I remember my Uncle Bob even saying that to me one time. He said, "Oh, Albie just knows so much, he's forgotten more than I'll ever get to learn," you know? And that's the high esteem of someone that's done all the work.
Yeah, Jim, I always believe that in this game, if you reckon you know everything, give it up.
Yeah, you're kidding yourself.
You're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's my motto.
Yeah. All right, so you're at Dad's stable at Semaphore. Do you remember what year or what age you were when you shifted away from there to do your own thing?
I was about 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I went up to Maitland and worked as a builder.
Okay.
Then come back, because it's better in those days. You know, my parents split up, which made it hard. Then I went there. Then I come back. And I podded around one or two, you know. Dad still was over the other side of the fence. Yep. Had a few horses there, and still help him. Then he moved out here.
Okay.
I moved out to Virginia by Bobby Jakes.
Okay. Yeah. Jimmy Holberton's stable.
Yeah, Jimmy Holberton's stable.
Which is your dad's brother.
It was the old farm.
Yeah. And Jimmy was famous for Field Commotion. That was one of his better horses, I think.
I'll tell you a story about Field Commotion, Jim.
Yeah.
He come into my dad's stable. Lordy and Dad were there. A horse called Field Commotion and Star Complex.
Yep.
And he said to Lordy, "Which one? Oh, don't touch that one. Touch this one. It looks like a good horse." "All right, no worries." Star Complex won 4 races. Field Commotion won 45. My Uncle Jim never stopped laughing.
Probably the only time. Well, who decided? Your dad or Lloydie?
Dad and Lloydie himself.
Probably the only time he got it wrong.
He never asked Lloydie again.
Funny story. Yeah, fill conversion was amazing.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember when I was a young man, and I never used to punt back in those days, but gee, if I had that knowledge now, but it's not going to happen. But whenever I went into the bar at the Gawler Trots and either Jim or your dad were in the bar having a drink while a horse of theirs was racing, 99% of the time that horse would actually win.
Yeah.
They were celebrating early.
No, they love their beer.
Yeah.
I think I took over Dad that way.
Yeah.
I like my beer and enjoy it. It's probably too much sometimes, but I've slowed up. But anyway, they were the good days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, as a trainer, I mean, you're now concentrating on the training side of things.
Yep.
Horses that spring to mind. I mean, we spoke on part one about your sister Julie. Stars of Courage. You won the Southern Cross. Would have given you a big thrill to win the Southern Cross with the 2-year-old, but also for your sister Julie and ownership.
Oh, definitely. He was a nice horse, bit erratic.
Yes.
But we settled him down, and I thought he could win the final. We had the good horse of Maker, and they sort of like they were the two standouts.
Yep.
And it was good in the final. They went head and head all the way down the straight.
Yeah.
And it was a big kick for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I ran plenty of seconds in the finals.
Yeah.
But I never won one.
Yeah. So that was your first Southern Cross of Stars of Courage.
Yeah.
Horses I'm thinking back in the past. Cullen's Hope, one of your good ones.
Yeah, Cullen's Hope. I was at on a River Murray cruise. First time I got away, and the old bloke rang me up and said, "I've just bought a horse in Sydney. Would you take it?"
Yeah.
And it was Cullen's Hope. He bought it in Sydney for $34,000.
Okay.
Nearly fell off the boat. Anyway, come back. He was very unlucky because we couldn't get in Southern Cross.
Yep.
But he was a very good horse. Very good horse. And he's still producing now winners down the mount.
Yeah.
Greg Howard's got him standing down there. So.
Okay.
No, he's a lovely old horse.
Yeah. He won a couple of classics, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the Size Produce.
Yeah.
And a couple others.
Did he win the kindergarten as a 2-year-old?
And the kindergarten.
Yeah. So he won the kindergarten and the Size Produce as a 3-year-old?
Jeffrey drove him the Size Produce.
That's right, yeah. And you've tried to do that to follow on from what your dad said, like with the Webster name. Dad always had the Websters on whenever he could, and you've done exactly the same.
Done the same, and I've sort of like had Jake, but recently.
Yep.
And then Jake's like his work, it's stopped.
You couldn't get continuity.
You didn't know whether he was going to be there or not, and it's just a pity. I'm glad I sent him a text saying he went out on the Big Bang.
Yep.
It wasn't much money, but he went out with a winner. He's not going to drive again, which is a pity.
Yeah.
Because we need those sort of drivers out there. We haven't got a lot.
Yep.
I like them. I like Wayne Hill. I like Danny.
Yeah.
You know, but I couldn't get him.
Yeah.
It's hard to get him here, so I've gave this one Tiana a big chance.
Yeah, for sure.
She either takes it or, that's up to her. But I think she's taken it.
Yeah. Okay. A filly or a mare that used to have, which always I thought was very good, was HQ.
She ran second in the Queen of Pacific.
That's right. She had many trips to Victoria leading into that. I think it was about a 3rd or 4th trip over there.
I sent her the Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And she ran about 5th or 6th.
Yep.
Just missed out in the final.
Yep.
That was Size Stakes. But then I thought, no, I'll give Annie Gath a go. And she had a few quirks. You had to back her in the stalls, and when Annie got her, said, no, she's quiet.
Yeah.
After the second day, she wasn't, and then the stalls. But he was good, Andy. They just said after she won a race over there and ran second to Queen of Pacific. I think it was Bling It On.
Yep.
And he said, Ray, take her home now. She's done her job.
Okay.
And he was very honest. He was good. She won over 90,000.
Yeah. And that was her biggest purse running second. She picked up about 15,000 for that, I reckon.
Yeah, 17, I think.
Yeah. But that was really good. I mean, and you had her from pretty well day one?
I got her, how did I get her? Oh, yeah, Matthew Harding was given up.
Yep.
So I went out there and I was there in the paddock and I took her.
Yeah. Bred by the Hancocks, I think she was.
Yep.
Yeah. Robert, I think, bred.
Robert had it,
yeah. Yeah, and she did her job. She won, like you say, nearly 100,000 in prize money.
No, she was very good.
Yeah, exactly. What's some of the other horses that spring to mind that you liked over the years training?
I had a nice horse called Kept Clear.
Yeah.
A very high speed horse.
Mm.
She was a real fast horse. And just a few young ones. I got a nice one for the Kemps. I gave it 2 starts, 1-1 and ran second.
Yep.
What's Rocking or something. But But he's back in work now. It's funny, when he raced him here, he was a rig.
Okay.
And then when he went back to the paddock, it's dropped.
Is he colt?
Someone said, "Did you cut him?" No, they're not cutting him.
So you're going from a rig to a colt?
Colt, yes. And he was a handful, so he's going to be a bigger hand.
Yeah.
He's a lovely horse.
Have you ever known that to happen before?
No, I haven't.
No.
But anything to do with Holbertons and Kemps, it could happen.
So Ray, I mean, in your career, not only have you been involved with training and driving, but also, I believe, in your term as president for Boca, we saw the resurrection of Boca. I mean, it was really big when I was a young kid, a young man at the Wavell days, and it sort of seemed to wane off a little bit. And then you, with probably a good team on the Boca team, Lois Randall, with the support there, you really turned Boca around, and that was in your term as a Boca president.
It's funny, I haven't done anything like that, and I went to the meeting, and I think Sandra Hutchison said one night when we were at the meeting, "I think we have to close.
Yeah.
We've got no money." And I went home and I thought, we're not closing it. My mum, they used to make cakes for the stalls and all like that back years ago.
Yep.
And it was big days at Grange Trotting Track,
yep,
where we trialled down there. And so I said, "No, I'm going to give it a go." And Lane Johnson, I think, was on charge. And then he lasted about 12 months and couldn't do too much work. So I took on, and I couldn't believe that much money was going everywhere and nowhere, and everyone was getting paid. I said, "We've got to do it for nothing."
Yeah, all voluntary.
And, you know, the people we had on our committee, they worked.
Yeah.
You know, we started, I think we're about 10,000 or 5,000 had them banked, and I took it to 260,000.
Yeah.
And Southern Cross, I had 1 year we had two $30,000 races.
Yeah.
Yeah, and worked hard.
Yeah, for sure. And it worked well. And now we see the resurrection of Boca, where, you know, they continue to give support to the participants, you know, with Boca bonuses and stuff like that. And you can see that it continues to roll on.
And our biggest fault though too, Jim, the younger generation don't go on board on those sort of things.
Yep.
Those committees. And I think we need them.
Yeah.
Because we're all getting older.
Yep.
And it seems like the older ones, the only ones want to do the work.
Yeah.
Where the young ones, they want their cake. They don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
They want to eat it, but not the cake.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, I was real proud what I done with Boca.
Yeah, for sure. And also you got involved, it was a busy time for you, I think, from memory, and someone said, "Oh, Ray's gone on the committee of Globe Derby." I thought, geez, haven't you got enough to do?
Yeah. And I had about 10 horses in work, but I went on it because I was sick of going on this track, and it was like cement.
Okay.
And things weren't getting done, and to me around the outside was getting terrible. And I was get over there and mow and make people were swimming pool weren't paying, so I go and collect that tickets. Just I didn't like what was happening.
Yeah.
But that's probably I should have just stayed where I was.
Okay.
But I only wanted to be on the committee just for the trotting.
Benefit of the sport.
Sport.
Yeah. And that's what you've done pretty well most of your time, because you love sport. I mean, you were brought up through your father, Albie, and then you were introduced to this sport, which is infectious. I mean, once you're in it, it's very difficult to get out. It's nearly addictive, you know what I mean?
It's very hard because you're never home. We're a bit lucky here than in Victoria.
Yep.
They're never home. And it's lucky you got good partners, like I got Bev.
Yep.
And I think since I've had Bev, I've settled down a fair bit and more concentrate on try and get me 2-year-olds going.
Yeah.
Which I think I've done.
Yeah, for sure. Hey Ray, it's been great catching up with you, a little bit of the Holberton story. Anything you want to add before we close it up?
No, it's just nice you invited me to go on your show.
Yeah, for sure. Well done, Ray.
Thanks very much.
There's Ray Holberton, ladies and gentlemen, part of the Holberton family. And like he said, his brother Peter was very successful his past. Lance continues to train winners. And Julie, she just loves owning the winners. So watch this space for more when you see the name Kemp, Julie Kemp in the ownership. Ray will be training the winner. That's it for the Holberton story. We'll go to a break.